Hey, this is Robert Dominguez with BigfootClub, and you're listening to Creepers Cryptid Paranormal Corner. I was just going to say, I tend to like Australian stories, like Yowie stories, better than I like North American Bigfoot stories. Steven and I, we don't call ourselves podcasters. We call ourselves cryptid sports entertainers.
That's excellent.
So,
I've told Robert this before. I don't want to go to a paranormal place or a haunted place where there's some evil entities involved.
Yeah.
And sure as hell, this place had an evil entity apparently, but I didn't know that. I see it. The door's open, and I see like a dark figure, a shadow. That's great. So so it was definitely not. I was not happy that I saw it, but I saw something.
yeah, because I was going to say that like there was a building right next to it, John, and like these houses were really close, probably like maybe like 10 feet apart, and they were really close. And so I was asking the lady, I said, "What's the building next door to us?" And she said, "Oh, that's the library." I go, "What's in there?" And she says, "Books and stuff." And no duh, but she was saying that there's a fully uniform of a Confederate soldier in there. And I go, "Oh, okay." And so there was a fully authentic. And so I was telling the girls, the Goo Gals, and I was explaining to Steven. So I have this theory when it comes to how you get a house and sometimes you get paranormal stuff, sometimes you don't. So I have this thing called blending over, spiritual blending over. Like if there's a house that's haunted, and they're really close to each other, the paranormal spirit doesn't know boundaries or walls or whatever, and so it may lean over to this building or that building. Our building may lean over to that building, so it could be just a spirit just coming in and just hanging out and then walking back over. So I told her, I strongly believe that this is probably like a bleed over. So you're probably getting some paranormal people from like the library and stuff. So that's just the take I had on it.
Or the Confederate soldier,
That's the Confederate soldier being racist. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Robert, he pointed out that across from that room was a closet. Now, mind you, like most of these closets in this house had windows.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, that's weird.
I find that odd. I find that weird. But this closet didn't have a window. It had an electrical box, and Robert pointed out, I go, yeah, that's probably where it's drawing power from. And I think they said that there is an attic too, right, Robert, where a strange purple light is showing out of the window of the attic, and they don't know what light it is. So I was like, wow, this house is not. It just already giving me the heebie-jeebies and whatever it saw too. So I think we stayed there about a good hour, right, Robert?
Yeah,
I'd say about an hour.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out to you, John. I don't know how it is in Australia, but like in Texas, they have like the attic to the top of the house, and they'll have like a little window on the attic, and then it'll be like almost like it has like wooden shingles. It's not completely like covered, but you can still vents air out out of the attic. And so whenever they would see this blue tint, you could see it through that one window that has like the wooden shingles, and they could like there's like an inch between each wooden shingle. So like I said, like it'll vent the air out, and so they could see like that blue tint inside there, and they didn't know why they had a blue tint in there. There's not a blue bulb in there. There's not any of that stuff. So it's just kind of odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. There's a lot of places around here that are haunted and that, and I'm good mates with Attila. That's what he does. He loves that sort of stuff, and it's not my cup of tea. I could have made heaps of videos by now going to him, but that sort of stuff terrifies me because I don't want to bring anything home with me.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot of people getting attachments and bringing it home and stuff. So I will eventually one day, once I know how to prepare myself properly to go and do those things. And so I know it'd be pretty funny because I'll probably scream like a little bitch. So it'd be a good video for YouTube. But there's heaps of stuff around here. Like a lot of Attila's, if you've watched any of his stuff he's got on Tubi, He's got all these paranormal stuff. A lot of them paranormal locations are like within half an hour drive of where we live. So it's that's not my cup of tea, but some of the stories you hear are wild, and some of Attila's stories, the place they've gone into abandoned nut houses and stuff like that. And it's understandable why the things hang in these areas with all the negative energy that's there. You think about like an old psych ward, all the negative energy from all the people that were there suffering.
Yeah.
And we were talking one day as well. It's like, imagine how many people have been horrible in these mental wards because of stuff like this as well. It happening at home and they think they're going crazy, or they're going out in the forest and seeing a Bigfoot and they think they're going crazy, end up in the nut house or like in the mental institution, and it's all real, and it's not that they're going crazy. It's just they've actually just seen something that's out there that people don't talk about.
I don't think I could.
That's kind of sad though. That's pretty sad.
Yeah,
I don't think I could go to an insane asylum, an abandoned one.
Yeah,
because that's just. I don't think there's evil entities there. I mean, there might be, but I know there's a lot of disturbed.
Even just the crazy people that lived in there would be enough. That if they've come back, you got to deal with them.
No. So I think what we did with the Ghoul Gals was a big step, because I've said I'm never doing that, because I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to bring an attachment home to my family and stuff. And Robert has a new profound look at it too, and so we were like, let's we're here, let's pray before we go inside, and let's pray whenever we get out. So there was a lot of audio files that they showed us too.
I would say they
captured,
and it was pretty bad audio, right?
The audio was not human. It sounded more like a creature. And it was very very deep, guttural, like an animal. Like in most cases, you would probably think it's a Yowie or Bigfoot. But it was definitely not human, and I think that's what kind of set me on edge too. I was like, okay, we need to go. We need to go, because I don't know what it's capable of, because I think there was some poltergeist activity too. And
they had like after we left, they went live on TikTok, and they had the house had like these cameras and alarms on all the windows and doors, and so they were upstairs, and I think as I was watching it on TikTok, they had one of the alarms go off, like a door was opening. So they rushed downstairs, and there was nothing open, and so they had to call the lady and ask her, say, hey, did you set this off? And she goes, no, everything's disabled. Everything's disabled for y'all, to open stuff as freely as you want to. And as soon as that she was explaining that to him, somebody whistled. And I said on TikTok, I said, someone whistled, and they go, yeah, we heard it. And then they had a REM pod that kept going off, and like a spirit had walked over to the REM pod and was setting it off. So I don't know. It was pretty creepy, and I think they end up logging off like around 2 a.m.
They slept in the room where I saw the shadow. I was like, you guys are crazy. You guys are you gals are badasses and crazy.
They are badasses. They are super badasses. They're just awesome peeps, and more power to those type of people who are brave to do that kind of stuff. But I could think I speak for myself on this. Like I wouldn't want to go to a place where it's just known for that type of activity.
Me either.
And I just don't want it to get familiar with me, and I don't want to get familiar with it, and I just want to stay away from that type of stuff.
That's it.
Entirely.
It's scary enough going out in the bush and having something or chase you or throw something at you. And something that's not physically there, you can't try and defend yourself.
Exactly.
I was just going to say that whenever we interviewed Attila and we were talking about the paranormal stuff, and I asked Attila, I said, do you ever get anything like, did you ever like get an attachment, have something come home with you? And his answer was so simple to me, the way he answered. He says, He says, Robert, I just film it. I don't do the stuff there. I just hold the camera. And I go, oh, okay. So he just said, I just film it.
He's got a couple of stories. There's a couple of stories he's told me of things that have happened, but a lot of you saying like that voice sounded like a creature. I've been out in the bush here even where my last videos I've had where I've caught stuff on thermals and that, and I've been in the bush standing there and heard something go, John, say my name, but in like this creepy ass voice, and I've turned around half to think God's going to turn around and see a Tiller or a Yowie Dan turn up to scare me or something, like knew that I was going out and thought, oh, we're going to go play a trick. No one there. And I was like, yep, go into the car. I'm out of here. Don't know what that was. I don't know if it was a creature or something else that's in the area, and got out of there pretty quick. It's terrifying, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, I think that's crazy.
Do y'all have lore?
Yeah, there's a lot of Aboriginal stories.
I was going to ask John, do y'all have lore in Australia?
Yeah, if you look up the Dreamtime stories and that, there's a lot of stories of spirits and creatures, all the Aboriginal stories from thousands of years ago. And there is a lot of talk of spirits in the forest and in the bush. And that's why a lot of the time the Aboriginals didn't go into the bush at night, because of the yowies and the bad spirits and stuff. And they do a lot of stuff now. They've always done it for the Aboriginals. When people come to the tribes, come to the lands, they do like smoking ceremonies, and it was to put protection. They do a smoking ceremony and a welcome to the area, and that gave the travellers or the visitors protection from the land, the people, the spirits, and the creatures in the area. So it was a tradition that every time someone come into town, they'd do that to make sure they were safe from being out in the forest or the bush around their camp. So, yeah, they're a big believer in spirits, and they know about the creatures. We were talking about that before as well. And like, it doesn't go into such detail as your lore and that you have over there, because a lot of our Aboriginal stories and languages and history were lost when they come over. The Europeans come over and took over the land. A lot of it was lost in conflict and just neglect of information and just the barriers between languages. So there still is a lot, but yeah, it's pretty wild, that sort of stuff. And he's going to do it again, or is that one and done for you?
I don't know. It's one of those things where it was awesome to do, and I was very proud of myself.
Yeah,
doing something like that. I wouldn't mind going to a place and like maybe do an investigation, as long as, I don't know, not spending the night. I don't know. That's because if I want to sleep in my bed, comfortable.
Yeah,
and just have my guardian angels with me in my own realm and my own sanctity and my own fortress of solitude.
Yeah,
but at another place, I don't know. You would have to ask Robert on that to see what he would want to do on that.
I would just say that because I was part of a paranormal group for like 10 years, John. I was a case director for paranormal investigations of North Texas, and we did a bunch of investigations. We always did ones that involved children. If it involved children, then we would try to take care of them like right away. If there's a spirit, involving a child on it, and try to solve that as fast as possible. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of investigations, and I usually go in there because I'm very spiritual. So I go in and I pray, and I say, hey, I want to go in here and I want to find out what's here, and I want to help the family. I do not want an attachment, please. If I just want to. So it's just my belief. If you go in there without any kind of strength, you go in there and you say, like, use my body or use my energy, then you're inviting something in.
Yeah.
And it could be anything. It could be, a demon, it could be a spirit. And it just, like, if you have like jewelry on, like a chain or a crystal or stone, I believe that they can just attach themselves to that and then go home with you. And so that's just my belief on it. And right now I'm running a group on Facebook. And I was helping I'm helping this group on Facebook right now. And there's a guy, you should probably have him on your show too. Scott Perry. He's a warlock. He's a witch. and he's helped me out a lot of times. And whenever, so if I don't pray, then I have Scott do something for me. He'll say something in Latin, and then he'll protect me.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Because there was a time where I went out to go see one of my ex-girlfriends in Phoenix. I had just bought this brand new camera. It was a night vision camera, and my ex, she lived right next to like this desert. So we walked out to the desert to go run this camera, and I had a K2 meter with me. And the K2 meters, they run to up to 20 milligauss. And whenever you do a paranormal stuff, sometimes you'll get like 3-5 milligauss. And so while we were standing like in the desert, this thing was pegging at 20 milligauss, and it wouldn't go away. And like everywhere I walked, it would just keep going. And so my ex-girlfriend, she goes, Rob, I don't want that shit in my house. And so I was in Phoenix going on. I was in the desert. I got maybe like a entity attached to me, and it's following me all the way back to her house. What can you do? Yep. So he did some kind of Latin chant. He told me to pour some salt like in the doorway, and I did that, and then the K2 meter stopped. The K2 meter stopped.
Yeah, right.
And so I was able to go back in. So he's helped me out a lot on a couple of cases too. Because I still get cases now, and I don't. With us doing the podcast, John, the podcast takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
And so I don't do a lot of investigations anymore unless somebody really needs help. Then we'll go out and help them. But
that's awesome.
I devote a lot of time to the podcast. So so I kind of like whenever I get a case, I divvy it up to someone else. I say, hey, do you want a case? You want to take care of this? You want to take care of this person? Just let me know whether you're taking care of them properly. And they end up doing that. So that's the way I look at it. Because like I was telling Sarah Bignall this, that Steven and I, we don't call ourselves podcasters. We call ourselves cryptid sports entertainers.
That's excellent.
So
when you call yourself that before each episode, you're going to get 2 beers and smash them over your head like Stone Cold and smash them.
Yep.
That's what you're going to do. That should be your intro. Do the 2 cans, smash them, skull them, and then give them the bird.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
John, John, I already like you. I like you even more now.
Yeah, you can tell what I grew up watching as a kid.
Stone Cold, man. Stone Cold.
I grew up through the Attitude Era, the all of it, the ruthless aggression, all that. That's how I grew up. I think the first naughty thing I did as a kid was give my sister Walls of Jericho.
You know what's
Walls of Jericho. Oh man.
She's laying on the lounge watching the TV in a little Barbie lounge, and I ran over and got the legs and give her the old Walls of Jericho, and she wouldn't tap. She just screamed, and I got grounded for a week.
Oh no.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah. So what's probably when you've gone out with your Bigfoot stuff, what's probably the most significant thing you've ever found?
Let me see here. Most of the time, most of the time whenever I do go out, John, I don't tell people where I'm going. We just go out. We just go out and we look at an area and we'll just walk miles into the the woods. And I always find footprints. I always find like 14, 15-inch footprints. I always find tree breaks.
Yeah.
I find all that stuff all the time. So like in Texas, we have, I don't know if you have them in Australia, we have cedar trees in Texas. And during the summertime, the Bigfoots, they tend to use these cedar trees as like a bug repellent. And so they'll lean against this tree and they'll rub, and then they'll break off the very tip of it to kind of claim their area. So in Texas, if you find cedar trees, you see like the branches all jacked up, and you see the very tip of it broken off, most likely there's probably like a Bigfoot in that area. So
yeah, that's awesome.
But that's a really good question. Do you guys have Do you have like electrical right of ways through Australia?
Yeah, we've got them all through national parks and that, and they always cut the grass real short so it doesn't catch, like there's no fires underneath it and that. And it's always right in the middle of the forest. Either side's really thick. It'd be the same as you guys. You should have them. A lot of people go deer hunting through them, don't they?